Vado.
Vai.
Thank you for the introduction. I would like to therefore take into account the title of my thesis, which is The Analysis of the Renewable Energy Market in Italy, with major focus on energy storage possibilities. Given the increasing importance that renewable energy has gained over time and is gaining, the aim of this thesis is that of evaluating the importance of its production in Italy and the revolutionary role that energy storage may have. It comprehends an initial academic research which addresses the existing literature and therefore encompasses the changes achieved within the last year and an up-to-date technological level in terms of energy storage. Secondly, the case study takes into analysis the cost and potential revenue streams that derive from the implementation of a battery system in order to conclude with a sensitivity analysis. In order to get a better understanding of why energy storage and its future applications are so significant, a review of the renewable energy market is fundamental. Italy has always been highly dependent on electrical energy from combined cycle power plants, which are natural gas plants, as Enel, the state-owned monopolist for electrical energy, has decided to adopt this strategy. Natural gas, however, is not present within our territory, and therefore has always been imported from foreign countries such as Libya and Russia, for example. As the Italian market, however, became a deregulated one in the mid-90s, the diversification became possible, and investments in alternative production methods have been incentivized. By the late 90s, wind and solar energy sources gained importance due to the increased awareness of global warming effects, such that in 1997, the Kyoto Protocol was signed, and in 2009, the 2020 Protocol came into force, with the objective of reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 20%, increase by 20% the production of renewable energy, and improve energy saving by 20%. All this by this year, therefore, 2020. As renewable energy was not economically convenient initially, in 2005, feed-in tariff accounts have been implemented, which are financial contributions granted for 10 years for each kilowatt hour of energy produced. After approximately 10 years of important and stimulating incentives, the situation has dramatically changed, such that now it is economically convenient to invest in these without incentives, therefore in grid parity. The main difference between a gas plant and renewable energy plants is that while the first is programmable, the second ones are non-programmable energy production plants. Therefore, Terna, which is Italian transmission system operator, has experienced increased uncertainty in the supply side of electrical energy, which clearly explains why energy storage system plants are are a global emerging reality. Battery-based storage systems are characterized by a great scalability. It is in fact possible to identify two specific applications: network services and energy optimization. Network services refers to storage system used by TSO and distribution system operators, DSO, in order to guarantee the functioning of transmission and distribution of electrical energy and infrastructures. Energy optimization instead refers to storage systems used by producers, consumers, of electrical energy, or those that produce and produce electrical energy. This element of scalability has contributed to the relevance that energy storage has gained over time, as it is believed that a transition to an energy system with low carbon dioxide emissions implies also a paradigm revision of the electricity generation model from centralized to decentralized. The limitations of the energy storage devices derives from the fact that they are highly responsive to the technical to the system technical specifications. Therefore, the age of the TSO and the DSO infrastructures, as well as regulatory policies, which are hard to predict. Let's now take into account the case study. The aim of the case study is to determine whether the implementation of a battery system with a peak power of 1 megawatt and energy capacity of 1 megawatt hour combined to a solar energy plant in an industrial site is economically convenient or not. We have seen that the development of non-programmable energy sources is the cause of criticalities in the management of electrical energy systems, mainly determined by the actual regulatory framework of the Mercato dei Servizi di Dispacciamento. And a path towards the resolution of these criticalities depends on the energy storage systems, such that the Italian Autorità di Regolazione per Energia Reti e Ambienti, ARERA, together with Terna, has enacted 2 different pilot projects in order for smaller energy production plants to participate to the electrical energy dispatch service market. These 2 projects are UVAM and UVAS. UVAM represents the Italian reference form of aggregation of small and renewable energy production plants, in which these are demanded an input of electrical energy or a reduction of this for a period of time of 4 hours. More UVAM benefits also non-relevant energy production plants. UVAS focuses mainly on storage systems, such that an input of energy is demanded for a restricted amount of time of only 15 minutes in order to regulate the frequency of the electricity grid within minutes, if not seconds. Batteries can provide several services, both to end users and to the TSO and DSO. However, having opted for a behind-the-meter battery, it means that this is found on the customer side of the meter. Therefore, only customer services are provided. And among these services, the ones that result into revenue streams other than UVAS and UVAM are peak shaving and photovoltaic self-consumption. Energy consumption is characterized by a load curve. Energy consumption has a load curve, which is characterized by peak and valley moments. And the possibility of avoiding peaks or reducing the entity of these reduces the final value of the bill received by customers, as this is calculated on the maximum peak of 15 minutes reached during the month. Therefore, peak shaving revenue derived from the possibility of reducing the peak of the total load curve. Assuming, therefore, a monthly reduction equal to the maximum power of 1 megawatt, this accounts for almost €70,000 per year. Secondly, the increased PV self-consumption revenue stream, also known as self-consumption optimization, results into a revenue stream as the industry has the possibility of using a greater percentage of the electrical energy produced without having to purchase it from the grid. Assuming, therefore, that self-consumption is increased by 20%, therefore from 80 to 100%, this accounts for almost €12,000 per year. UVAM and UVAS instead account for approximately €12,000 per year and €93,000 per year, as given the tariffs established by Terna as of today. For what concerns costs instead, the implementation of the battery system requires a capital investment capex value of more than €700,000 and operating expenses OPEX for approximately €12,500 per year. The investment is evaluated with the assumption that it is carried out without the need to rely on debt, and therefore entirely financed through the equity withheld by the industry taking into account. The combination of the previously mentioned data provide evidence of an IRR value of 9.5%, representing, therefore, a positive economic convenience in the implementation of a storage system. Nevertheless, the project calculated WACC for investment in energy storage and renewable energy, which, according to several studies, is around 7%. Analyzing the net present value with WACC rate of 7%, the actualized payback period, which represents the numbers of years necessary to compensate the investment, is almost 9 years. 9 years is a long period of time, however, which could explain why, as of today, investments in energy storage facilities are still sporadic. Nevertheless, it is important to take into account that the useful life of a battery is calculated based on the cycles of charge and discharge. And in order to calculate the useful life, the hourly demand curve needs to be present. However, this is specific and unique for each industry. Therefore, as reference point, we took the UVAS service, which is a service that requires the maximum amount of hour attributed, is taking as a reference point. Studies have shown that after 10,000 full cycles, the battery has a reduced functioning equal to approximately 80%. Therefore, as the investment is recovered by year 9, the battery has a technical obsolescence of only 20%. Furthermore, it has been concluded that the investment is economically convenient as the energy storage market is a very fast changing market and very innovative. In fact, the UVAM service has been introduced in the Italian market last year. UVAS has been introduced this year and is still being introduced. And within the next few years, other services are to be introduced. However, the entity of these is still unknown. As the several assumptions have been made in this case study, which undoubtedly lead to some limitations in the analysis, a sensitivity analysis regarding the peak shaving revenue stream, which is one of the fundamental revenue streams in terms of the entity taking into account, is carried out. And once again, the peak shaving revenue stream is highly dependent on the hourly demand curve, which, as previously mentioned, is specific and therefore impossible to obtain. However, given the assumption made of a reduction of 1 megawatt, this sensitivity analysis reduces the peak shaving to 500 kilowatt instead of 1 megawatt, which corresponds to 1,000 kilowatt. Taking into consideration this assumption, this reduction, the project now has an IRR value of almost 3%, in which the net present value calculated at WACC value of 7% is always negative. Therefore, the investment is to be considered not economically convenient. Furthermore, on the other hand, costs of storage systems, according to numerous studies, are predicted to decrease between 20 and 15% within the next 5 years, due to the increasing demand of storage system, which obviously results into the optimization of costs, and as well as the worldwide focus, other than the presence of the automotive industry, therefore hybrid and electric cars, which is characterized with respect to the renewable energy market by much greater numbers. Assuming therefore a reduction of 20% within the next 5 years, of both in terms of CapEx and OpEx, the project has an IRR value increased from 9.5% to over than 15%, which calculated at the net present value of the WACC rate of 7% becomes positive between year 4 and year 5, which compared to the results of before, which was 9 years, is obviously more appealing. Renewable energy plants have profoundly modified the electrical energy production globally. However, in order to continue its growth, both in terms of implementation and usage, new technologies such as energy storage systems need to be implemented. And batteries seem the most likely and plausible solution. Nevertheless, they still represent a risk and therefore a bet for entrepreneurs. Even if within the near future, a growth trend as the one noticed and seen for renewable energy production plants is foreseen. Thank you.
Allora, Viola, io ho provato a registrare, così ti risenti anche te e vedi se c'è qualche cosa che puoi migliorare. Io non ho molte osservazioni rispetto a quello che ho detto l'altra volta. Hai cercato di sveltire e migliorare. Vediamo se riesco a interrompere la registrazione.